Oh, I figured out what they were doing, what was going on. Oh,
Oh, we are live. Hey, Jen.
hi, ladies.
All right. Welcome to Three Chicks in a Pod and Chicks in Salsa. I am Megan Price. We got Jen Matthews Lewis, and then we got Candy from the South Florida Tribune at the very end there. How is y'all's week going?
Pretty good. Year-end banking fun.
Everybody's getting ready for the holidays. Let's face it. Everybody's stressed. Everybody's rushed. Everybody's
Right.
yet it's a pretty time of year, and we're all just trying to get through everything. So, well, yeah.
I would say, and just kind of take a quick moment, real quick, before we jump into all the sports related stuff, and just say if you are a parent or if you're hosting this year for the holidays, do what you can to like conserve your time, delegate a little bit. I know that's hard sometimes. I know me especially. I'm one of those that I won't tell my kid to do the dishes because I can do them better, but then I'm mad because I'm doing the dishes. That type of thing. So I think you should delegate and kind of let go of the small things. And, time goes by so quick. Uh, Enjoy that, and if you have little kids, grandkids, they don't care what they open up. Buy cheap gifts. It's okay. They don't care. You can even make gifts. That's what I do. Me and Kennedy make gifts the last few years, and we make gifts that you can make in kind of a mass proportions. And so then you don't have to worry about, you know, spending so much because a few days later rent
Yeah.
is due or your mortgage is due, so it's the end of the month and or the end of the quarter as well. So depending on how you pay things, like I wouldn't be overwhelmed about Christmas, and just try and enjoy what you can. Just a little side note there.
The
And
end of
can I?
December is tough for me because yes, we have Christmas. Then my husband has his birthday in between, and then there's
Mhm.
New Year's, and also on New
Right.
Year's Day is our wedding anniversary. So we have all of that
Oh,
within
okay.
a matter of a week. So yeah, it can be expensive.
And in all
Expensive, and
honesty,
there's only 24 hours in a day. That you can only do
Right,
so much.
and
right.
just remember, if you don't get a chance to make something on your menu, it's okay. Nobody knows but you. Shh. Don't
That's
worry
true.
about it. It's okay.
Like
It's
I
okay to
said,
skip.
definitely delegate if you can. It's okay to like pass off
Yes.
some of the. I remember there were years that I just had Kennedy decorate so that I could cook, or vice versa, have her cook a little bit so that I could decorate a
Yeah.
little bit. So, just try and spread it out a little bit. That way you're not so hard on yourself. I remember the times when I don't want to say I was necessarily a single parent because her dad was in house with us, but we didn't have a ton of money to be honest. And I was so stressed, and we were like getting paid on on Christmas Eve or the day before that. And you're just spending the whole
Mhm.
time just stressed out. And it wasn't any fun, to be honest. Um, Takes
Right.
out the whole purpose of the day, I feel like.
And remember what it's all about. It's all about spending
Mm.
time with those you love. If you don't get the last minute something done, it's okay. But take time for yourself so you can enjoy time too.
Right, right.
Exactly.
Hey,
Because
Rob.
self-care is
Oh,
important.
sorry.
Hello, Roberto.
All right, so we jumped into week 15 of NFL. So that's week 15 of 18. We're getting really close to the end of the NFL season. We had some interesting things happen over this past week, and some of them were really, really tough to watch. We had a ton of season ending injuries this week. We were watching a team that already had a season ending injury bring back a quarterback that was almost to I don't know that he's actually going to make the Hall of Fame, but he's not eligible again now for another 5 years, and he hasn't played in 5 years, so he was just on the verge of being eligible. I'm talking about one Philip Rivers, 10 kids. 5 years that he's been out, 5 more years he's going to have to wait again, and it just wasn't quite enough to get the win this weekend. Even though it was a pretty exciting game, he is the king of clean trash talk. I find him quite hilarious. It's always, oh, dang it. Come on, guys. It's not, it's a little
Mhm.
different than a lot of the other guys that are playing at the time. So it was an interesting week. I don't think I'm too surprised about the Cowboys. If you thought the Cowboys were going to make the postseason, you haven't been watching me all year. You haven't been watching me all season. Trust me. I knew they were not making the postseason. So let's start with game one that we had on Thursday. We had the Falcons versus the Bucks. And while this is not Jen's teams, it affects her division. So I know that this was a game that was interesting for her. The Bucks end up losing at home 28-29. Mm-hmm. Do we think the Falcons are anything?
No.
But
no. Overcame. Did you guys see that? They had overcame 19 penalties, 17 that were accepted. It was crazy. It was a record. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
And then moving on to the next game, we had the Ravens versus the Bengals. Ravens win this one, shutting out the Bengals 24-0. Ravens, another team that had a really tough season. They had a lot of injuries. I know that we thought that they were going to be contenders at the start of the year, and not saying that they can't necessarily be that. I just highly doubt it at this point, even with shutting out the Bengals. But I think the storyline or the headline out of this game was really what happened beforehand when Joe Burrow gave an interview talking about how unhappy he is at this moment. He's not enjoying playing football. And let's be realistic. Like, yes, it is a job. It's very, it's important what you do and it's important to enjoy that. But you're playing a kid's game as your profession, so there has to be a level of enjoyment there, because not everybody gets to do that for majority of their career, or their first career that they're getting paid for. So it gave me Andrew Luck vibes. Y'all remember that interview that he gave right before he retired? And he was just not happy with it. And I don't know that I necessarily agree with how he went about doing it, because it was right before the season started. And it just really left the Colts in a lurch. However, getting out there after serious injury, and he just didn't have love for the game anymore. I don't necessarily disagree with that. I don't think that you get out there and you're scared to get injured, because you will get injured.
Right.
I
think playing scared actually makes it worse.
Absolutely, it does.
I look at that in my own quarterback, because I don't think Dak will ever be pre-injury Dak. I don't think he'll ever be that again. And don't get me wrong, he's played incredibly this year. And we had, of course, a quote from Rex Ryan talking about this is what did he say? A Super Bowl level offense with a terrible defense. And y'all, excuse my French, but no shit. We've been knowing this for a while. And you couldn't have possibly think that somebody said you're a bum. Not very nice. Okay. You don't have to watch.
I think somebody thinks that they're writing on another podcast, given another comment that was written.
Oh, okay.
That I put up, and then I
generally said, we're pretty nice guys. I
know we are. Actually, we're not really bums.
Mm-mm.
Oh my goodness, yeah, strange comments on YouTube. I'll say that. So, back to NFL Week 15, we had the Eagles versus the Raiders. Eagles win this one in fantastic fashion. In 31-0 at home. I think I would like to say this is a bounce back win for the Eagles. However, you're playing the Raiders. So I need to see them play a much better quality team before I sit there and say that they're bouncing back.
Right.
Then we had the Cardinals versus the Texans in Houston. Texans win this one 40-20. Kyler Murray's hurt. The Cardinals have a couple of injuries right now, so I don't know that was a good measuring stick of a game as well. Then we had the Chargers versus the Chiefs. Chargers win this one at home, 16-13.
First team to steal
And
playoff.
this eliminates the Chiefs for the first time in 10 years. How do we feel about the Chiefs not making the postseason?
I was reading also since 1998, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, or Patrick Mahomes, none of them will be in the playoffs. Like that just sounds astronomical. That's 27 years.
Right.
That's crazy. I mean, let's face it, there's more parity in the NFL this year than we have seen ever. So I really like the fact that, you know, it's not the same dominant teams necessarily.
Right. You know what? Another thing that I saw was a correlation between Brady and Mahomes, which obviously we hear that conversation a whole lot, just comparing the two careers. But both Brady and Mahomes in year 9 had ACL tears. So I think that is somewhat of a signal that Pat will be fine. And in fact, you know, Andy came out and said that he didn't do any damage other than the ACL. And we've seen a couple of quarterbacks, Joe Burrow, Carson Wentz, who they didn't only just tear their ACL, they tore everything else. So, you know, while it is not good, it's not a good injury, there is some positive there.
Well, they said that they repaired it was a complete torn ACL and a partially torn LCL that they repaired when they did surgery this week. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing, like, in all honesty, like, Carrie and Don will probably hurt me for this, but I've wondered if Patrick hasn't been injured kind of for a while. But I don't know because he's been or trying to been doing the Lamar Jackson thing and carrying the team on his back because it hasn't been flowing. They haven't had major changes to their starting lineup. So,
well, but neither have the Eagles, you know, and they haven't looked like themselves either.
The Eagles,
so, you know, I
think Kelsey was the major leader.
But that was 2 seasons ago. Like he didn't.
I thought it was last year.
Lane Johnson's been injured. Like they've had some other injuries.
He didn't play in the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah.
Why did I think he was out? Okay.
So I think Patrick has probably had the same problem that he has most years, and it's similar to Steph Curry, and that's his ankles. His ankles are always terrible, and so if you have one portion of your leg that's already kind of injured, you know, it's logical that it could move up your leg, you know, and so him having a knee injury, I don't believe is beyond the scope of things. I do think it's going to be strange to have the playoffs without the Chiefs. I did not, however, agree with the comment. I can't even remember what analyst said it, but that it's not a real playoffs because the Chiefs aren't going to be there. I disagree with that. The people that have already clinched and the ones that make it there, they earn that regardless.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to sit there and say that, for example, the Milwaukee Bucks, their most recent championship, I'm not going to say it doesn't matter because LeBron was hurt. That's the way the cookie crumbles. He wasn't there. Right. He was injured.
Yep.
And one player should not dictate the team win.
Well, and let's face it.
Well, I mean, quarterback, I can see.
The Chiefs have been up there so high for so long that everybody's gunning for them too. So they're bringing their best game when they're playing against the Chiefs, I think. And we discount that, I think, a lot of times too.
I want to sidestep and address this comment real quick. So, Tim, I did see their schedule, and I liked that. You know, we had a comment at the end of the season from Sark who said that, you know, we might as well have a cupcake schedule if this is what it's going to be like when it comes to the committee choosing the playoffs. I don't necessarily agree with that comment, and I'm glad that our schedule doesn't reflect that going into next season. So it's still going to have some big matchups during non-conference play, and then we know what it's like any given night in the SEC. So, I mean, I know there's a lot of people, especially in my area of the world in Big 12 country, that want to act like the SEC should have, or the Big 12 should have the same validity as the Big 10 or the SEC. But I'm sorry, it's not the case. Any given night in the SEC, you got to play Tennessee, Vandy, OU, Texas, Georgia. Like there's so many. I mean, every now and then Florida has a team. And then, you know, in the Big 10, there's quite a bit up there too. So and shout out Indiana, man. huge win over OSU, the #1 seed. No, we're not talking basketball, y'all. We're talking football, and Indiana's at the top. So I love that for them. If it can't be my own team, I'm glad for them. So moving on to the next game, we had the Bills versus the Patriots. Bills win this one on the road, 35-31. This was an exciting game. It was a really, really good game. And while I'm impressed, a little controversy, but while I am impressed with what New England has done this year, I wonder if they're overperforming. We saw this from the Giants a couple of years ago, which their record was not as good as the Patriots, and obviously they're not as well coached, or weren't at the time, but they almost made the playoffs a couple of years ago and then turned around the last 2 years and they were back to bottom of the barrel. So I wonder if the Patriots division is just trash.
I will say this. I'm going to say two things. One, I did say through the entire game, Josh Allen was not going to lose to a rookie quarterback. But I will also say, and I have said this all season long and all through his career at Carolina, Drake May is he. Drake May is the next.
I like Drake May a lot.
He's going to be the next big quarterback. He's the quarterback of this year, of this draft class. I will say that he comes from athletic royalty, and like we always say in our house, like Carolina athletic royalty, because his entire family went to Carolina. Like his brother, and this doesn't happen at Chapel Hill. Other schools, yeah, but you don't walk on a basketball team and end up a scholarship player. Doesn't happen. His older brother Luke did that, and he's playing overseas now in Japan. And so right. Their entire team, family, including mom and dad. That family.
I'll say this: him coming from a basketball school and keeping you guys relevant in football was a surprise to me. Similar to Indiana, Drake had you guys in the conversation, had you guys relevant. I do think that he needs the right situation, though, for him to be the next guy. I think he has the right coach at the moment for that to happen. I just hope that he continues to stay with Mike Vrabel. I think that is vitally important because I don't think Tom Brady is Tom Brady without Belichick.
Who is the tight end?
And vice versa. I don't think Belichick is Belichick without Brady.
Right.
Who's the tight end that came from Carolina with the Colts? Because they need each other. Like, honestly, the Patriots need to go get him. He's a rookie this year, too. I can't remember him.
I would have to go look it up.
I can go digging in a little bit. But they need to play together because they are freaking magic. And so the Patriots need to go get him. I can't believe it.
And I guess that's kind of my point. Like, I wonder if they're going to look this good this upcoming year. Like, do they have to go get a few more pieces to continue to look this good next year? Because we saw it with the Texans too. They took a step back last year, and the year before that, they looked amazing. Last year, they took a step back. This year has been kind of iffy, even though, I do think that the Texans have figured it out towards the end of the season. A couple of those wins, CJ wasn't the quarterback. It was Mills. So there was some controversy this year for the Texans, and I think it still might be there. Now, moving on to the next game, we had the Jets versus the Jags. Jags win at home 48-20. Well, while the Jets are obviously the same old Jets, Jags continue to move up. So I question, are they a contender?
Trevor, had 6 passing touchdowns this weekend? He's lighting it up.
Sunshine.
Etienne is kicking it into gear as well. They have the pieces, and now they have a coach that can consistently help them. And I think that's what they've needed. Don't get me wrong, Doug Peterson is a great coach, but I just don't think it was the right fit at the right time. We've been watching that game, and I think their defense is playing legit.
I agree with that.
That's the difference. you know.
And I do like Doug Peterson too. I do like Peterson. But fit is so important. And that's kind of what I was talking about with the Patriots. Like, will it continue to be the right fit in the next year? So now moving on to the next game. I know there was some questions on whether Shedeur was going to be able to play well. And the Bears just hold them out 31-3 in Chicago. Do we think the Bears are contenders?
Ben Johnson is.
I'm sorry. I know it's your division, Candy. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Ben Johnson is like
it's you and Scott's division. My bad.
And he did. I love that Ben Johnson took the time to learn that Caleb was dyslexic, and I'm still not a huge Caleb fan. I'm not gonna lie, but he took the time to learn that Caleb is dyslexic, and coaches to that. He learned to coach to Caleb's disability. Or different.
And that's what you do when you're a coach or you're a manager, whether you're at your job. I think it's your job to bring out the best in the people that work for you. That's your job, literally.
But not everybody does that.
Right.
I guess the Bears haven't had that.
Megan, to your point, we'll know more after this, after Saturday, because the Packers go to Chicago to play them at the Bears Soldier Field. So we'll see. I mean, we're a little depleted, but we'll see how we pan out, because that's going to be the important game of the week of the division.
I'm seeing you and Jacob going on X and having a Spaces at halftime, Candy. I'm just saying.
All right. So in our next matchup, we had Jen's team. We had the Panthers versus the Saints in New Orleans. New Orleans ends up winning at home, but it was a close one, 20-17. What were your thoughts on this game, Jen?
The first quarter, the refs let them play. Second, third, and fourth quarter, it became obvious that somebody somewhere was a Bucs fan. Because when Bryce has the late hit on him and nothing is caught, and it's an obvious late hit, out of bounds late hit, and nothing's caught, and then Icky comes and defends, and Icky gets a foul caught on him. No, that should have been an offsetting penalty.
Right.
Then there were several other plays that we got flags thrown on us, and then the very next play, it's the same old stuff that happens with the Saints. Like, we saw it during the NFC Championship game. Sorry for the S-bomb. We saw it during the...
No. Like, it was literally... I laughed because it was literally what I was thinking when I was watching the Cowboys.
But I was just
verbatim.
Like, really? I just looked it out, and then I'm like... And I was on the phone with my dad, and I was like, it's the same old, same old. I was like... Because it sucks, because it was just apparent somebody was a Bucs fan. I'm just going to say that. Because
all right, so now in the next matchup, we had the Lions versus the Rams. They were at SoFi, and the Rams come out on top 41-34. This is a really exciting offensive game, but I say defensively, I was pretty disappointed on both sides. Now, Detroit has a ton of injuries, so I can kind of understand why their defense was depleted. It did look like Jared was pretty shook that last quarter, so I don't know how much that played a role in things. And then there were a couple of receivers that had significant drops as well. So I don't want to say I was rooting for the Lions, but I like when Detroit does well, because they were so bad for so long. Not just the Lions, but the city of Detroit was bad for so long, and they've really made a resurgence back to relevancy. So Orlando, if you're watching, I wasn't going against your Rams. I just, it was a great game. So it would have been nice either way, I think.
Yes.
And obviously, these are the teams that traded their quarterbacks for each other. So a lot on the line, I think, in a matchup like that.
And it was amazing before going into that game. If you looked at the stats, like both quarterbacks have the same amount of wins since the trade, both like the same record, the same. It's been, except for the Super Bowl win, everything else was the same. So both teams really made out in that trade, I have to say.
Right, I agree. Once again, fit is so important, because I think that personally, I think Goff needed a coach like Dan Campbell. And Dan Campbell just knew where to slide in with that, you know. All right, we'll slide over to the next matchup. We had the Colts versus the Seahawks in Seattle. Seahawks win 18-16. It was a pretty exciting game. Came down to the very last few seconds. It was a good defensive game, and which is kind of surprising for Seattle. I didn't think they had done a lot this in the off season to really sew up their defense, but they have looked good this season. Aside from the fact that, you know, you have Sam Darnold as your quarterback, that has proved to be a great move for you as well. But Legion of Boom is back, I feel like. So in the Colts defense, you know, we talk about the quarterback carousel that they've had since Andrew Luck has retired. And you found an amazing quarterback in Daniel Jones. Once again, fit matters. We talked about this as an entire episode. Unfortunately, he was one of the ones that they were dealing with injury going into this week, knowing that, hey, we're going to have Phillip Rivers. I don't know that Phillip Rivers was the exact right decision, but I understand it a little bit because that's where he played right before he retired. So
he fits into his
he
game.
knows it. Right. So he still knows the system. He still knows key players over there. So yes, it kind of made sense, but I think there might have been maybe a better option out there.
I think there may have been a couple better options out there, but
yes. All right. So next matchup.
I'm impressed that Daniel Jones, from definitely not a football school, because Carolina is more of a football school than Duke. Like, true story. Really true.
Well, and his time there at New York had him looking terrible, you know, had him looking awful, except for one season. And then look how great he looks with Indianapolis. But the same bread and butter that Indianapolis has had for these last 6 years has been that defense. It hasn't gone anywhere. Even when the rest of the team wasn't great, the defense was solid. So
I say there's something about Life Stadium, ladies, because honestly.
Oh, yes. But don't get started on the turf monster that is MetLife.
Oh, yeah. Because Sam Darnold had, after he left Matt Toole and the Carolina Panthers from the Jets, he's done phenomenal. Like, Steve Wilkes really took him and blew him up.
You were watching, Orlando. I appreciate you watching. Thank you so much. And I could imagine I would want someone gone that was hitting on my wife. I agree with that very much so. All right, so the next matchup.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Our next matchup was the Packers versus the Broncos. I was really going for the Packers in this matchup. I like what they have built over the last few years. I think they are a great example of how you transition your quarterbacks from rookies and then you slide them into the starting position, not immediately. Like, they literally show you how you should cover your quarterbacks. And them going after Micah Parsons in the offseason, like, I felt like this was a big deal for them. And to see him go down with an ACL injury, and, you know, we're going to have bad Cowboys fans out there that celebrated an injury like that. And I think that's pretty disgusting. I think Micah is going to be pivotal on whatever team he plays for. And to see him go down, that sucks, man. I hate that for him. So, Kenny, what did you see out of this matchup?
You know, I saw it was back and forth battle. You know, our number one receiver went down as well. He was in the hospital with a they said hit to the chest, so he had a chest injury. So he went to the hospital for them to check that out. We're without our number one tight end. Then Micah goes down. And so I think it was just, and it, you know, the other receivers I felt were just a little off. I think Denver's defense is legit. And I think their defensive line was getting to our quarterback and making him rush. So I think then his throws weren't exactly precise as we'd like them to be. And so then the receivers weren't catching them. They were just a little off, a little in front of them, a little behind them. And I think that just made the difference because, like I said, it was a seesaw battle back and forth. I mean, we weren't blown out or anything like that. And the other thing is remember, you go into their house and it's always harder to go on the road. and win.
Well, especially in Denver, you have the elevation, and unless it sounds like an excuse, it sounds like a crutch because we hear it every year, every game that Denver that plays at home, but it's true. Mm-hmm. Going in high elevation, even just trying to exercise or walk outside, it does affect you. So it will always be a factor there.
You could even see on the sidelines, they had masks. They were breathing with the masks because of the altitude, and especially when it's colder out.
Definitely.
That makes a difference too. So,
and I want to go back to this comment real quick.
How many Olympians actually go to Santa Fe to actually train? Because Santa Fe is actually the highest capital in the country. Mm-hmm. But you know this, Megan, because you travel there frequently.
Right. Yeah.
But the same with Denver. In the off season, a lot of pro athletes will go there to train because they.
I've seen a lot of martial artists, boxers that go train in high elevations like that. So I want to go back to this comment real quick, Tim. No, y'all are not a football school. I'm glad that y'all have done better this year, but the same, it's not a dig because North Carolina isn't a football school either. As a whole, the ACC is a basketball conference, the basketball conference, if you ask me.
Clemson.
So, I mean, and that's what you guys are. You said except for Clemson. That's right. I forget they exist. All right. Next matchup real quick. We had the Niners versus the Titans. Niners end up winning at home 37-24. I'm just going to glaze over the Cowboys versus the Vikings because I don't think anybody wants to talk about that unless you hate the Cowboys, which I know there's a ton of y'all, but we don't have a ton of time. Cowboys lose at home to the lowly Vikings, 34-26. And then last night, Monday Night Football, we had the Steelers versus the Dolphins. And this was a really interesting one, too, because this was another one of those teams that had a season-ending injury, but it was of no fault of his own whatsoever. The medical staff took a page from the Chargers and decided to deflate their best player's lung with needling procedures, basically acupuncture. Went too deep, deflated his lung, and TJ Watt is out for the rest of the season, or at least probably the regular season. Now, are they in contention? Can they make the playoffs?
No, they're out because I think what it is now is if Miami wins out, Miami actually wins the AFC. Is that what I read earlier?
Steelers are in first place in the AFC North.
Who is?
The Steelers are actually first place.
Yeah, that's right.
North. Okay. I was reading.
They're sitting at they're at the 4 seed right now. Right. So real quick, I'll just run through the standings. In the AFC, you got Denver at number 1, New England at number 2, Jacksonville at number 3, Pittsburgh at number 4, the Chargers at 5, Buffalo at 6, Houston at 7. Now on the NFC side, at number 1, you got the Rams. At number 2, you got the Bears. At number 3, you got Philly. Number 4, you got Tampa Bay. Number 5, Seattle. Number 6, San Fran. Number 7, Green Bay. So that's what you have currently. Let's slide over to our last topic. And I guess, you wanted to trash the Cowboys. Feel free. Set it free. Actually. No, the Cowboys are exactly what I expected them to be this year. A good offense. I wouldn't say an elite offense, but a good offense. They've dealt with some injuries in and out of their lineup. CD's been in and out. However, that's no excuse for what they are now. And I don't think you could have expected anything good out of that defense. We knew they were going to be terrible. So Orlando's comment real quick. The road to the Super Bowl is going to depend on who stays healthy. Right now, Houston, Denver, and Seattle are healthy. His Rams have Adams for the playoffs, but which McVay are we going to see? Agree. Running McVay or erratic McVay. So we shall see. Hate to see Devontae go down as well. So for our happy story of the day, the Spurs are good at basketball again. They're going to be playing in the NBA Cup, and my life is so much better when the Spurs are good at basketball. So their road to the NBA Cup And I want to preface this by saying I don't particularly care about the NBA Cup. I would much rather see what we do throughout the season, what happens in the playoffs, our team being healthy. Those are things that I care more about. The cup was actually stolen from the WNBA. It is the Commissioner's Cup with the NBA brand on it. And in the WNBA, it was created so the ladies could make more money. And I don't know that that's necessarily needed in the NBA. However, for your rookies, the ones that are on lower contracts, I'm sure this is a big deal for them. But the rest of them, I don't think that this is that big of a deal. So the Spurs rode to the NBA Cup. They beat the Lakers in LA 132-119 without Wemby. Then they beat OKC in Vegas 111-109. Wemby was back for that game. What I liked about this matchup, it was a great matchup. We're going to see this rivalry continue to build over the years, and all of our main scorers were right there within each other. Devin Vassell had 23 points. Wemby had 22 points. And then two other shooters had 22 points apiece. So it was very good team ball is what it felt like. Now, on the other side of things, the Knicks, their road to the Cup finals, they beat the Raptors in the quarters 117-101, and then in the semis they beat the Magic 132-120. So I would say it was probably not as difficult of a road for the Knicks to make it there. However, they are going to be a tough matchup tonight. It will be on Prime, and it starts in 20 minutes. All right, guys. So that does it for us this week, unless you ladies have anything else that you would like to add. If not, I appreciate you guys so much for watching, commenting, sharing. You guys make it so much fun. And I was talking about this at the beginning of the show. Just enjoy your people. And we enjoy you guys so much.
We do. Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
We will be taking a 2-week break, and we will be back on January the 6th. Hope you guys enjoy your holidays. Everybody be safe and enjoy your family.
Bye, y'all.
Enjoy.